It doesn't matter if you're black. It doesn't matter if you're white. It doesn't matter if you're yellow, pink, purple. I mean, to be fair, if you're purple, you might have an oxygen deficiency. So maybe it would matter. But ultimately, it doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't, within reason. It doesn't matter if your parents have been successful in the past. If they haven't, success is subjective. But let's say, for example, success based on a metric that you want to achieve. If you haven't seen your parents achieve that, it doesn't mean that you can't do it. What I want to help you understand in this video is the fact that a lot of the times what you're doing is you're focusing on the wrong thing. You're focusing on the things that you can't change instead of focusing on what you can change. You can't change the fact that in the past, your parents didn't achieve a certain thing that you want to be able to achieve. You can't change the fact that you're born with a specific skin color. I mean, to be fair, it is 2026. I mean, people can identify as different pronouns or whatever it is without making any physical changes. So maybe you can actually just say, you know what, I actually identify as white. I identify as Chinese, like whatever it is. So if you can even do that, you can actually change your... Anyways, that's irrelevant. I don't even know why I went into that. But ultimately, this is what happens when you're on a real channel. You know what I'm saying? We just keep it real and raw. Yeah. But anyways, look, the point that I'm making though, in all seriousness, is focus on the things that you can change. Don't focus on the things that you can't change. Focus on the things that you can adjust in order to get to where you want to get to, rather than focus on your limitations. Because what a lot of people do is they put so much energy and focus into arguing for their limitations. You say, I can't do this because of this. Like, why are you putting so much energy into convincing yourself and the people around you that that limitation is something that is going to stop you from getting to what you want? Why don't you instead argue for your potential? Why don't you instead say, you know what, I have this limitation, right? But I'm still going to make it happen. You know what, I'm starting out broke, but I can still become wealthy. Why? Because I've seen other people be able to do it. You know what, maybe it takes me longer to learn certain things, but I'm not going to allow that to hold me back from actually getting them done. You might identify as a slow learner. But again, if people can be out here changing their genders with a thought, you can also change your identity of how fast and slow you learn. But even if you are a slow learner, that doesn't need to be a limitation that holds you back from doing what you actually want to be able to do. That doesn't need to be any type of limitation on your life. It might slow you down a bit if you hold on to it. But if you recognize that, okay, you know what, I'm a bit of a slow learner, so let me double down on XYZ thing, or let me focus on the parts where maybe I learn faster, or let me just maybe put in more work. Maybe I just recognize that I need to put more work in than the average person. Whatever it is, identify the limitations that you've been attached to that have been holding you back, and decide going forward that that limitation is no longer going to hold you back, because you're more powerful than that limitation. Because you are, in reality, you are. We actually do have the power to make changes. We do have the power to beat the odds. We have the power to come from, let's say you've come from, I guess, a family where, again, none of your parents, grandparents, uncles, whatever it is, have achieved the things that you want to achieve. It doesn't mean that you can't do it. If all of the people around you haven't been able to achieve what you want to be able to, doesn't mean that you can't do it. Now, I will say environment does play a massive factor. And if you can, get yourself into places where you can be around other people who have been able to do what you want to do and all that kind of stuff. But don't allow these things to limit you, is the message of this video. With that being said, you've been tuning in to Learning with Lamar. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out. Boom.